Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Tillman with another Tillman's Take. So what I want to do is I want to debrief a situation that comes to us out of Lodi, California. And what you have is Officer Bristow who pulls a vehicle over for a guy that's talking on the cell phone. So as he pulls that vehicle over, the guy that's driving that car yields to the right side of the roadway, and Officer Bristow makes his approach on the driver's side. When he makes that approach on the driver's side, what you'll see is he immediately noticed something's off because there's a person in the back side of the back seat of that vehicle that almost looks like he's hiding. So once he notices this, he immediately calls for a backing officer, and you have Officer Carrillo that will respond later. Let's take a look.
110-1, step it up, step it up.
What are all units? Code 900.
We need more units. Get them coming, code 3.
Units respond, code 3, 1 item 1, 1 item 3.
Shots fired. Oh, shots fired.
Copy, shots fired. What are your units? Shots fired.
All right, so when Officer Carrillo gets on scene, you can see he walks up to the passenger side of that vehicle, and he also notices something that's off. And so he can see a subject that's sitting in the backseat of that vehicle, and the windows on that car either appear to be tinted or slightly tinted. So he opens the door so that way he can get a better view of what's going on back there. When he opens that car, he asks the guy what's going on. The guy says he's sick, but he seems kind of confrontational in his voice a little bit. Shortly after, Officer Carrillo immediately notices something, and what he notices is that guy in the backseat has a firearm. Once Officer Carrillo notices that firearm, he repositions himself to the front of that car and starts giving that guy commands to follow. Now, that guy is not necessarily listening to those commands, and the other thing that we have to realize is that as Officer Carrillo is dealing with the guy in the backseat, we still have the other officer that's dealing with the driver of this vehicle. And so shortly after they're talking, as this conversation continues to go on and Officer Carrillo is giving him commands of what to do, the guy lunges out of the back seat and he points a gun at Officer Carrillo. Now, Officer Carrillo responds accordingly, and he responds very, very quickly, and he ends up utilizing deadly force. He shoots the man, ended up stopping that threat. And so after this was all said and done, they actually recovered a gun, and what they recovered was a revolver that was loaded. Luckily, as that guy was shooting that gun, it didn't go off. That gun malfunctioned, but Officer Carrillo, how was he supposed to know that? At the beginning of the video, the original officer pulls this guy over for a cell phone violation. Sometimes we've been led to believe that, you know, officers will go out every single day and just do average traffic stops. Well, there's no such thing as an average traffic stop. Quite frankly, in this situation, a cell phone violation escalated into use of deadly force because the officer didn't know who they were stopping. And so even though it may seem like it was just a normal traffic stop, it wasn't. And there's no such thing as a normal traffic stop because you don't know what you're going to deal with. And so the officers responded accordingly in this situation. They did a good job as far as, you know, utilizing cover of the car and trying to get to a safe place. It's unfortunate that, you know, the deadly force had to be used, but in a situation like this, when situations go from 0 to 60 that quickly, what else can you do? And, you know, to talk about utilizing the taser wouldn't be effective because let's say his gun didn't malfunction and he was able to successfully shoot the officer. Pepper spray, that wouldn't have worked either because pepper spray is not going to stop a person from pulling the trigger of a gun. A baton, that's definitely not going to work because that means that officer now has to gain the space with those suspects and try to hit the gun out of his hands, and that's not, you know, feasible either. And so, guys, again, just to follow up, you know, traffic stops, like I said, are very, very dangerous. Officers don't know what we're going to. Like I said, we can be stopping somebody for a tail light out, a license plate out, a cell phone violation, but ultimately we don't know who's in the car until we actually contact them, and we don't know what the mission is of that person that's in that car. These Tillman Takes are for educational purposes and educational purposes only. Is my goal that if we can educate you on the danger of our job, ultimately it'll lead for safer interactions when we come on our next traffic stop. Thanks again, and God bless.